Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. We are glad to have you with us. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Thanks for joining us under the hood.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
I'm Chris Carter here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. 866-594-4150. As I pulled in, you were pulling out. That made me a little nervous.
Yeah, I was scrambling a little bit.
Yeah, you had some things to do.
Yeah, we had just a little wind damage here a few weeks ago on one of our old buildings on the auto recycling facility here where the studios are at here in rural Garrettson, South Dakota. And so we've got one of our folks that has worked for us that has come out to do a project, and we were rounding up some extension cords because he was here late in the night last night trying to beat the rain and ran all of his batteries dead. So now he's going to try to go by electric power to put the tin on, and we're just doing a little scrambling, just a little fixing.
You looked scrambly.
Yeah,
it was good.
Yeah,
it all worked.
I'm here.
Yeah.
That's normal. You just physically saw it.
Right. Yeah, it didn't surprise me, didn't affect me. I just noticed it this time.
Yeah.
866-594-4150. Let's get right to the calls. Let's go to Dan. Dan, you're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
You talking to me?
Yes.
Dan Dorschner?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. I got a 05 Dodge minivan. It's got the big V8 in it, the 3.8. And we've had problems, the mechanics, where about every 10,000 miles, the catalytic converter has been going out on it. And we can't figure out why. But thank God that the parts house has been standing behind them, considering the price of them things. And I decided this last one, we're on the fifth one now. Can you believe it? And the vehicle's got about 165,000 miles on it, okay? And this last one, we decided we better change the upper and lower sensors on the catalytic converter too, because we think they might be a problem. And we did that. And we're on the third upper sensor. That keeps not working right. So, do you have any idea what's going on?
Yeah, you've got something wrong with the engine that is causing those failures, because those just don't fail. I mean, we've had hundreds of these things, if not thousands, through our shop over the years, and of all cars in general. And we have had, there's been a couple times where we got some bad advice, and a parts house said, "Hey, we've got this new line of catalytic converters. Try it out. They're really affordable." And they weren't the cheapest ones, so we thought, they might be pretty good. Let's try it. And we installed a few, and let's say out of 20 we put on, 3 were bad. And we thought that's not a good number, because with our better ones like Walker or something like that, we put them on and we've just never had a failure. Unless when I have somebody come in and they say, "I've put 2 or more converters on my car within 10,000 miles, I've got to ask them, does your car use any oil at all?" And they say, "Oh, about a quart every couple weeks. Not that bad at all. It doesn't smoke or anything." It's like, that will ruin a converter right away. Or,
okay, yeah. See, my van does use a little oil, yes.
That'll do it. And also coolant. Coolant is the deadliest enemy of an oxygen sensor. A tiny little amount. If you're adding, let's say, 1 pint of coolant to your vehicle every 2 months, that is enough to ruin an oxygen sensor, because it's like when we were kids and learned the first time to not spray light bulbs with the squirt gun because they'd explode.
Yeah.
Same thing happens in an oxygen sensor. That element in there is very fragile. It can get thousands of degrees, but if you hit it with any coolant, it will crack it and it'll ruin that sensor right away. So that's probably what's happening on the vehicle. Most people, if you've got a catalytic converter that has had multiple failures like that, if it's not clogging up but it's turning the light on, they'll just leave it and they'll drive it that way as long as the vehicle's still operating well. But you got to check engine light, unfortunately. But if it's burning oil, that's what's happening. Now, on the other hand, with the oxygen sensor failing, typically it's the heater that fails in the sensor, not the sensor itself on the newer ones like that are heated. So it would still, again, operate fine with the light on with that sensor bad, but the heater wouldn't work properly. So that's why you'd get that code. So a couple things to look out for and think about that could be causing that issue on that.
And when you're talking about a catalytic converter, when you go with the after factory one, the aftermarket, and you said that you use the term parts house, that type of converter does not have the coating of precious metals inside of it that is as robust as the original factory converter. That's how they keep the price down on them. They have enough material in there to function to a certain extent and get the light turned off, but not enough as compared to the factory one where it could put up with a lot more abuse because there's just a lot more material coated on that foil on the inside. And we know this from selling and sending off the catalytic converters to the companies that decan them, and they extract the ounces of rhodium and palladium and platinum off of them, that the ones that are aftermarket and don't have factory numbers on them, they're worth very little because they just don't have the material inside of them. So if you have a small problem with the van, it will be that much quicker for it to cause that converter not to work.
After that first one, especially.
Yep. Now, having said all of this, we would probably be going down a different path if you wouldn't have agreed that you got a little bit of oil burning, you got a higher mileage van, and it's probably not quite pure.
Okay, here's one thing. The mechanic decided that he would order that upper sensor from the Chrysler Corporation. Get one that's, or from a Dodge factory, whatever, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And thought that's the route we should go now. It's going to cost me some money to get that upper sensor, but we think that might do it. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to back up and ask another question here. I always say I'm going to back up.
Okay.
But because sometimes I'm repeating where we're at here. But the problem you're trying to get rid of, Russ mentioned it during his talk, is that problem just the light coming on, or is this affecting the vehicle, how it's actually run, its ability to run correctly?
No, the vehicle runs fine, just that that upper sensor, when he puts his machine on, for finding out what's wrong, it says the upper sensor is failing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly.
And we're on the third one of putting it on, and then he put on a new one, start up the vehicle, recalibrate with the machine, make sure he erases all so we don't have that stupid idiot light coming on. Fine. But if he goes and shuts it off and restarts it, guess what? Bingo.
Yeah, that's
bad.
Normal operation of that system. But I'll bet if they put a factory one in, it's going to do the same thing. Because those aftermarket sensors, in fact, a lot of the aftermarket companies make the factory sensors. Bosch, our partner at NGK, NTK, they make a lot of OEM sensors, and they're identical, if not better than the factory sensor. A lot of them are engineered, like our partner at NGK, NTK. Those sensors, a lot of them are engineered to, meet or exceed the factory sensor. So they would be the better sensor in that case. But I bet you're going to find out you're going to have a problem with that. Give it a try, but I think you will.
And if you find out that, it would be maddening to find. Is there any sort of a circuit that could be bad that is actually tricking them?
No.
That all this stuff is actually
I
good?
don't think so,
and
because
they've
he
got
said
electrical gremlins going on?
He said it was burning oil. So,
well, I mean, we're latching on to that, and I would assume
using
that too.
any coolant, put a bottle of K-Seal in it,
Yep.
because that could save that sensor, because oil usually doesn't affect those sensors like coolant does. So if it's using any amount of coolant, put a bottle of K-Seal in it, especially with that small amount, that should seal that up.
But the fact that those things are dying so fast, it makes you probably think you guys got something else going on. But boy, our hunch is that that's getting polluted, and that's causing you a lot of these problems. But there is further diagnosis that you could do to make sure all those circuits are correct, just to make sure. But boy, it sure sounds like that stuff's getting polluted.
Thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. 415-50. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you.
Be sure to visit our website for news, contests, and previous shows at underthehoodshow.com. Welcome back, everybody. It's time to get back under the hood with the Motor Medics.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Let's talk to Mark. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Mark, what can we do for you?
Hi, I've got a 2008 Nissan Altima that I tried everything under the sun, but for some reason, when I push the gas after it's warmed up a little bit, it just doesn't go. It feels like it's not getting any gas, and then when I put it into neutral and back into drive, it takes off like it's been shot out of a cannon. And I don't know what to do.
Oh boy, I was thinking of something else there. Were
you thinking of Super Dave Osborne when he said shot out of a cannon?
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it gets rubber and everything. It's crazy.
But we've had a few of these with throttle body problems lately. It seemed just several cars in general, and they're just the electronic throttle bodies they're getting to an age where they're wearing and breaking down inside, and sometimes they're just not going. And if you put the car in park, move the shift around, I don't know what the correlation is there, but we've seen that. Instead of you can turn the car off and restart it and it'll work as well. But just putting it into reverse and putting it back into drive, they seem to go again. There must be some kind of a programming strategy in there, just like there is for the ABS and traction control, where it can take over that throttle that says, hey, because when you put it in neutral, you're not allowed to rev it up more than a certain point. It'll usually go up to like 1,500 RPM or so and hold it there. That's as high as you can rev it. You can't rev it up at the stop sign like you used to be able to when you put it in neutral. It kind of defeats the purpose, but you can put it in neutral, put it back in gear, and then it'll go again. That might be what's going on, but I wonder if there's not something wrong with that throttle body. And there may even be some codes hidden in the system, not enough to turn that light on yet, but if you were to scan it, you might be able to find some history codes or even some permanent codes that are hiding out in there that are just not turning on that check engine light yet. So that would be our first step. We'd scan it to see if there's any codes. And if I couldn't find any, I'd start driving it around town with a scanner connected and then wait until it quits. And once it stops on me, before I move that transmission, I would step on the gas pedal and I can look at the scanner and it'll tell me where my foot is versus where the throttle is at. And it'll say throttle pedal, 90%. Throttle body, 0%. And I know it's not activating that. So that tells me that if I'm stepping on it and I see the throttle go up and down, but I don't see the throttle move anywhere, I'm probably going to go into another part of the scanner which allows me to control the throttle body and raise the idle. And if I can't control that at all, then I know that throttle body is dead. Or if I probe it where the power comes into it, maybe my computer has got an issue. But those cars, I can't remember ever putting a Nissan computer in that model car. So that would be unlikely. But throttle bodies, we've put a few on. So it could be a throttle body failing on that. It's just kind of an idea where to start going with that, because that throttle body is all electronic now. Not only does it house the electric motor to open it, but it also houses a throttle position sensor. I had one the other day. The throttle position sensor went bad, but the throttle would move, but it had a code for a bad sensor. And they said, well, my throttle works. The sensor shouldn't be bad. Well, it is bad because it gets its sensor off of that.
That help you out there, Mark?
I guess the throttle body expensive.
On that car, we've seen a few of them lately go bad, but the large number of ones that don't fail, I'd be really comfortable picking that up as a used part, certified used part, car dash part, even a pull it yourself, you pull it yard, that self-service yard. That would be I think I'd be comfortable trying one of those, because the likelihood you're going to find another car with another bad one at any kind of an auto recycler, it's going to be odd. It could happen, but it's going to be pretty odd.
Mark, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's go to Nebraska and talk to Steve. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Steve, what can we do for you?
Yes, sir. I've got a 2017 Toyota RAV4. My daughter had a $7,000 Toyota transmission put into it.
Oh.
And when you put it in reverse, it immediately goes in reverse. Put it in drive, it's a 4-second delay. Is that an adjustment or what's going on?
It is not an adjustment. It is a failure inside of the transmission that likely is going to be something in the valve body in there. How many miles are on it since it's been installed and how much time?
About 4 months and about 3,000 miles.
Okay. At that point, they may choose to pull it out and replace it with another one and send it back to Toyota, to their remanufacturer, to have it inspected, or they may choose to try to repair it. Either way, it'd be fine, because since it's not moving at all, I don't feel you're getting any damage done. You're not slipping, you're just not moving. It's not in gear at all. And I think what's happening is the solenoid comes on, commands the valve body to move, and either the solenoid is not working properly, so it's not moving the valve, or the solenoid is working and the valve is stuck and not moving fully and letting it engage. Because once it's engaged, it drives just fine, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident it's going to be something similar. Now, if they've got a good transmission tech there, the dealership may have the choice of, do you want to, as far as not you, but the dealership, the manufacturer may say, do you guys want to fix this yourself? Because you're authorized to fix these things on site, save the customer time and save Toyota some money. And they may say, sure, we got a tech, and they fix it. They get paid for it. They want to keep it going. But if they're real busy or something, they may just drive it when you take it in, say, oh yeah, we've verified the problem. We're going to get you another one. Come back at this date and we'll put it in. And that's typically what's going to happen on some of those. We do a lot of remanufactured transmissions at our place in town here. And when we do them, it's extremely rare that one is bad. I mean, out of all the remanufactured transmissions, I can't, maybe 2, 3 tops that have had an issue. And they were kind of known issues with that. They said, oh yeah, we had a problem with this part we put in. We'll get you another one. And we just put a part in and fixed it. But that again was one of those, do you guys want to fix it? Or do you want us to send you another one? Because we know what it is. So they may just take care of it for you. Hopefully that's it. They'll just,
if you're that fresh, that should still be under the part warranty. When you buy a factory part or through the factory service remanufactured part, there should be at a minimum a 12-month, 12,000-mile warranty on that. I'd be surprised if it's not longer on a transmission. Probably 3 or 100,000 miles or something like that. But
100,000 miles, I believe.
okay.
Yeah, no, I would bring it back in and have them diagnose it and look at it. That's not normal, and there's an outside chance that it's some sort of programming thing, but it's not an adjustment per se.
Steve, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. You guys said something earlier made me ask this question. Do you guys, with your computer systems, have the availability to look and see what make or model of car you've had the most in?
Oh, our shop management system has that.
Okay.
We can pull up by vehicle, service records by vehicle, and just see which one's there. But I can tell you that, people used to come in and say, oh, Hondas never fail. That's why I've got a Honda, but I don't know why my engine went out. It's like, there's 6 in the parking lot right now.
I would like to find out sometime in the next 4 shows what make of vehicle you've had the most of and what models of vehicles you've had the most of, like top 5.
It'd be Ford trucks because they're so popular.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it's Ford and Chevy
second?
trucks.
In our system, we can look up activity for parts requested
Okay.
by make and model, so we can look up which transmissions requested the most.
See, and,
which
and it's not
engines.
because those things fail more than others.
Sure.
It's because there are more
Population.
of them out there.
Yeah, let me be clear. I don't plan to learn anything from what you guys
I have
find
put
out.
more tires on Ford trucks than I have on Chevy Malibus
I just want to know.
or Pontiac Solstice.
We're going to take a break.
That could be the highest one in the shop.
When we come back, we want to hear from you. 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
Find out how you can participate in the show by visiting underthehoodshow.com.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Before we give away a hoodie, I want to I had a revelation on our way to the show today.
What was that revelation?
Well, last week, as you were pulling in, as I was walking up, you pulled in, and we did kind of a choreographed mood where you met me right at the window. We high-fived. You kept going. It was great. And today, as I was getting there, you were moving your truck again, and I thought it might be neat to go to the opposite side and have you pull on the opposite side.
I didn't get the charade once
That
again.
I'm gonna get to that. So I thought it would be good to test your precision and see if you could do it on the other side. So I turned that way. You, meanwhile, just were going around me, and I had the revelation of, it's a 2-ton truck coming past me. It's close enough.
You don't need to get any closer.
No, I thought, and then I realized maybe that game, we won that game the first time.
Don't play again.
We don't have to play that game.
I'm okay with not
anymore.
running over a human.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I think I wouldn't feel good about that at all.
Right. That would be very bad.
I think it'd be bad, and if it was you, it'd be really bad.
For me especially, but yeah, for you
Squishy.
too. 866-594-4150. Don't forget, you can watch the show on our YouTube channel. And if you subscribe to the YouTube channel and join the Hoodie Fan Club at underthehoodshow.com, you could win a hoodie.
Like Ricky Jackson, congratulations from us all here at Under the Hood and our friends over at Universal Technical Institute, Automotive Diesel Collision Repair and Refinishing, NASCAR Institute, CNC Machining, Motorcycle, ATV, Watercraft, Marine Mechanics, Welding. They got a little bit of everything there.
That's a lot.
I was
going
just
on.
looking through my sheet here, and I was just looking at some of the stuff as I go over things now and then and just kind of see what updates on things. But campuses, we've talked about that before. Phoenix, Arizona, Bloomfield, New Jersey, Dallas, Texas, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Houston, Texas. There's another one, right? Florida,
I wonder
Orlando.
if I could be a snowbird.
Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, California, Orlando, Florida, Rancho Cucamonga, Los Angeles, California, Sacramento, California, and NASCAR Tech, of course, in Mooresville, Charlotte, North Carolina. But you could do it, Chris.
I wonder if I could be a snowbird and go like just winter
Seasonal?
semesters down south and summer up in Chicago. Find the perfect itinerary. What do you call that? I guess if we can figure out, I'm not going to.
I'm wanting winters in Orlando, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean,
yeah.
Phoenix is cool too, but
My daughter and her husband-to-be are moving to Roseville, California, which is right outside of Sacramento. I could tell my daughter she could
Why?
take up UTI.
Yeah, get in there.
You know,
why would they move so far away? Do
They're
they
just-
not like
I
you?
would.
No, they love me. It's just opportunity is there for something that they're going to chase. So
Roseville, is that north
it's kind of
in the valley or what?
No, it's a little bit east, or excuse me, a little bit west and south, I believe, of Sacramento.
Okay.
Just outside. It's kind of a suburb of Sacramento.
Good area. But
We just drove more people crazy that know
Yeah, exactly
where
where
it is
it's at.
than if we talked about Ford versus Chevy the whole hour. 866-594-4150. Let's go to Kentucky and talk to Richard. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Richard, what can we do for you?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I have an 06 Honda CRV, 182,000 miles. 2 months ago, I changed the starter on it, and my check engine light was on. My son coded it, and he replaced 2 or 3 sensors. and the check light is, and it runs good. Last time I checked, it got 27 miles to the gallon, and it idles okay. It accelerates fine, but my check engine light is solid light. Help me out.
Do you know what the code was that he was getting? Did you guys talk about what the problem, what circuit it was that was sending that signal?
I thought it was the PO300 something.
Yeah, random misfire. That's
Yes.
you'll want to check that and see if that's still in there, and hopefully it gives you another one that says misfire on one specific cylinder, like a 301, 302, something like that. But with an 06, my guess is that it probably needs coils and spark plugs. That's one of them. If it's tune-up related, because it's of the age where you don't have spark plug wires anymore. So when you do a tune-up, we replace the whole coil in there when we do it. That's just something you got to do. I mean, as they age, they wear, the heat breaks them down, the ozone, the side of the boots go bad. Our partner over at Motorrad sells coils. You can get a coil and a boot kit for those all as one unit. And then on those type of vehicle, we use the NGK spark plugs in them. They work great in those. And do that. I mean, do the tune-up issues. The other thing that can cause a random misfire on one of those can be valve adjustment. If the valves are too tight, they can do that, and eventually they will burn a valve and damage the engine. So valves are one of the most neglected things on a Honda engine. They don't get adjusted when they should be adjusted, and they're not that difficult to do. But if they don't get adjusted, if they were to get too tight and keep the valve hanging open, it'll burn that valve and damage the engine.
Did that light coming on happen after the starter was replaced?
Yes.
And it wasn't there before?
No.
And doesn't that starter sit in the valley up on the top?
No, it's a CRV, so it's going to be in the front.
It is.
It's
Right.
You're going to have to pull the
Under the manifold.
Yeah, you got to pull the manifold off.
So did they affect something on the wires up there when they were doing the repair? I mean,
that is super unlikely, but a manifold that is leaking is not unlikely. If it's just a random and not one single cylinder, it could be that you've got a leak in an intake manifold gasket, especially if it does it. Can you ever feel a misfire, like maybe when it's cold and you start it?
No.
Okay, then it's probably not that, but I would definitely check that. You also get lean codes too if you're running a manifold leak on one of those, or a mass airflow type code as well. Anything that's vacuum related you could have show up, but just a misfire only, that is more likely to be just a coincidence that it was close around it.
You always wanted to rule out where the humans have been.
Yep.
Right, yeah.
For sure.
And so just make sure of all that, where the humans have been, that the wires are back on square and that their intake is seated properly with the right gaskets, that all that was done correctly. And that's something they might want to just retrace their steps if they're not finding anything else.
Richard, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. Incidentally, Kentucky, east of California.
Kentucky is east of California?
Yep. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Adam. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Adam, what can we do for you?
Hi, I have a question on, you guys recommend, what stuff do you recommend for oxidized stuff to use on headlights?
Sylvania Headlight Restoration Kit.
I'll say this. I've used plenty. I've used many kits, many products, and I would say it is worth it to do the process.
The whole process.
The whole process. Adam, when you go to look, there's going to be one or two that are more expensive, and when you look at the instructions, they're going to be a lot. It's going to be...
So what do you want, Chris? You want any kit that contains a
UV
protectant coating. Yes. So if you get one without that, it's just a dumb idea, because what's going to happen is you'll put it on, it'll work maybe for a few days, but it's going to go bad very quickly because it's immediately going to start to oxidize.
The one thing you can try, Adam, and this is just from my own experience, if you can find the UV protectant, You can try all of the other stuff.
Yep.
You can try the toothpaste. You can try all
home
sorts
remedies.
of. You can try all sorts of stuff, but if you want to end it with the UV protectant. Now, there's some kits where the UV protectant is like a wipe that's
on?
in an envelope at the end, so you're out of it. Others have UV
Will that
protectant.
work on my taillights too, or?
Oh, anything plastic, anything clear plastic like that, a motorcycle windshield, a headlight, a tail light.
But yeah, if you're going for it, get the kit that starts with wet sanding and all of that. I have found that the ones that are the most work and the most pain in the butt are the ones that work the best.
Yep.
But
And-
that UV protectant is huge.
And if you are not up for doing it yourself, in most markets, you can hit probably Facebook or somewhere in a local market and search, and there are a few people that run around. And like I know around here, we've got a gentleman that comes to our self-service yard all the time buying parts, but he has a mobile headlight restoration business, and he just runs around and he'll meet people in their parking lots at work, and just like a windshield repairman, and do their headlights. And so there's.
Have you guys ever thought, when you get older, you think, why didn't I take care of myself better? But looking at these headlights in cars, and in being that we're in the industry and we see how bad the sun fades cars out, why didn't we wear sunscreen all these years? Humans are incredible machines that they can keep going. I mean, basically, let's just say 70 years of abusing yourself before you used to go, man, what happened to that person? But a car, like a year and a half, 2 years, and those lights are starting to fade out. And that's even on some cars that are garage sometimes. It's just a little bit of fading. It's crazy.
I'll say this too, Adam. Go for it yourself. It's so great when you clean the headlights and they're great, and you did it, and you're like, I did it. And if you do it right, it's even better, man. When you follow the instructions and you get it to work the way it should, you don't take any shortcuts. Yeah, Adam, you can do that. It's great. It's fantastic. And it's not a hugely different price. It's going to be 30 versus 15 for the full kit. That's just a guess, but yeah.
Chris is speaking it like a pro.
I've done my fair share. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to George in Massachusetts. George, you're on the Under the Hood show. What can we do for you?
Yes, I sent in an email several weeks ago, and I need a little explanation on it.
Okay.
I have a 2012 Chevy Cruze LT. My service airbag light comes on only in the cold weather, and once the car warms up, it goes away. And once we get back into the summer, the light never comes on until the fall again. And there was something about connections, but where are these connections that I have to check?
Well, the ones you can do at home that are the most common are going to be seat belt connectors, the buckles. They just have an issue for some reason with those. So we found that when I scan one and I see a code for a driver's side buckle or a passenger side buckle, a lot of the times it's as simple as finding that connector, which is at the base of the buckle. You pull the shoulder belt over and you click it into that bottom buckle. The part that it clicks into on the bottom, if you follow it down where it bolts to the floor or the side of the seat, there's a little wire coming out of it. And we just unplug it and plug it back in, and more than half the time the light goes off. I don't know if it's because dust settles down inside of the connector eventually and works its way down, and moisture, condensation, whatever, but unplugging it, plugging it back together seems to make them work. And that's on all brands of cars. Mainly the domestics, but all brands. We really see it on things like minivans, caravans, that kind of thing, because
Kids.
the kids and the amount of dirt that's just dust and dirt that can get in there. But that's what we see. That's the only thing you can do at home to fix on an airbag system in most cars.
But the thing that you said there that he needs to do before you start just tearing everything apart, have somebody scan it
and see what the code
and
is.
see what that code is.
Because if it's anything but a seatbelt buckle code, then it's got to have a shop repair that
Yeah,
thing.
because then it could be a clock spring that's temperamental.
Front collision center sensors are
that's
big
a problem
on those.
But have you had it scanned before at all yet?
No, I haven't had it scanned. Let me put it this way. I went into an AutoZone and I used their scan machine, but at that time, by the time I drove up there, the light didn't come, the light went off. Doesn't they have to have the service airbag signal on the dashboard before they can check it?
Yes, you would need that to be lit unless it was on and then turned itself off as you were driving there and you did not turn the engine off. If you left it running, it would still have a history code in it, but those can clear very quickly just by turning a key off.
George, thanks very much for the call. Hope you got your answers there. 866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
Make a radio appointment each week to hear the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Let's go back to the phones and talk to Scott. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Scott, what can we do for you?
Morning, guys. Love your show.
Thank you.
I've got a 2002 Corvette. It's the LS1 engine, I believe, and 23,000 miles on it. Runs perfect. And it suddenly dawned on me that I still have the original spark plugs in there. And I'm wondering if I need to get those out just from a age perspective. And then the second question I have is, if I do replace the spark plugs, do you guys recommend anti-seize or no anti-seize?
On an 02, I'm not going to put any anti-seize on them. But, I want to take them out. I'd take the plugs out and look at them. And it used to be that if the plugs came out, you just change them. But at, let's say, $10 or so, $10-12 a plug, there's really no reason to change it if the plug is not worn. And you'll see the wear on it. If that electrode on there's got a groove worn into it, it's time to change it. Or if you've got a lot of heavy buildup on them and they're fouling because of very short trips. Like maybe you start it and you drive it a couple blocks and park it, or start it, move it around the garage. They might be starting to foul where it's time to change it. But it's an 02. I mean, we're talking 20 years old, 23 years old. It's definitely not going to hurt to change them just for age. But on the other hand, I have spark plugs in a Model T that were put in 1975 that are still perfect. There's no reason to change them. I'm not going to. The electrode's not burnt. They're not fouled. There's no reason to change them. In fact, I bought some new plugs, put in there when I went through and just looked at the engine and painted everything. And the new plugs didn't really work as well. They just didn't seem right. So I put the old plugs back in and they're still in there. So I got the spare set, but I'm keeping the old ones because they work fine. But yeah, you don't need to change a plug. It used to be that, over the generations, things have come and gone. You see those Autolite commercials, hey, we're the Autolites. Don't take us out. It hadn't been 2 years yet. You remember those commercials with the guys?
Just a little bit. It's because you brought it up before and I had to go look at the commercial on YouTube.
So there's things like that where we thought, it's been 2 years. We better change my plugs. It's been 10,000 miles. But you've got to look on a per car basis.
Yes, because these new ones are changing the rules again.
Consult with us or mechanic, because there are some cars that are 15,000 mile change on some of these turbo engines now. And people say, I don't need to change them to 100,000 miles. When I tell them, well, you had the end of a spark plug fall off in your cylinder. That's why your engine's missing. But it's only got 80,000 miles. Only? You should have changed these plugs 3 times already. No way. And I go grab their manual and it's right there. The change time in it. But with this LS motor, I mean, that's a solid motor. That's 100,000 miles typically.
I think, Scott, if you're taking them out to check them, you're changing them, right? Don't you?
At 20 some years, good idea.
Yeah.
At 5 years, there's
probably would,
probably no way I'm going to change these at 5 years if they look good.
But okay.
What?
Go ahead. I don't think the years matter. Like Russ was just saying.
If the car has been warmed up and run, but in this case, I'm picturing a car that probably gets, if it's not driven, it probably at least gets started and moved around the garage now and then, right? Runs for a half hour.
Guilty of that.
Yeah. So if you're doing that, it's going to keep adding build up to the plugs.
If the plugs, there again, inspection, like you said, if the inspection looks good.
If you pull that plug out and it's got a light tan color to it and it's dry, I'm putting it back in. I'm not going to change it.
Yeah.
But if it's black and fouled, definitely
Yeah.
going to be changing.
I think you're both crazy. I think if he's driving, it's not like he's gonna. This is his vet, okay? So it's a seasonal car, right, Scott?
It is. That's correct.
Okay, so let's just take it step by step. It's his summer car. He's gonna look to do some stuff to it. He's not gonna take the.
Chris says, "I just want to do something to
He's
my
not.
car."
That's it.
That's
He's
it.
not gonna take the spark plugs out.
All right.
and then
if you want to
drive-
do
hold
something
on,
to your
stop.
car, put plugs in it.
He's not going to take the plugs out, inspect them, and then drive the truck to AutoZone. He's going to drive the Corvette because it's summer and he's doing stuff to the Corvette. So he's going to drive the Corvette to AutoZone. He's going to buy NGK. Listen, am I doing good? He's going to buy NGK plugs, and then he's going to go down the aisle to see what new stuff is on the thing so he can wash it and get maybe this new tire stuff might be good. And he doesn't want to have that thing sitting there while he's buying plugs. He's going to go buy the plugs.
Take
then
the
come
car,
home.
go
Yeah.
get your
Yeah, and
plugs.
so then when he takes it out, he's like, I got these plugs. I'm putting them in.
I'm going to put them in.
You're probably right.
Scott, how am I doing on that?
But the answer is you don't have
Well-
to.
All right. So I don't have to. Now, it sounds like, in addition to what Chris is saying about me stopping in the store and buying plugs, I'm going to probably have to buy wires. The guys on the forums all say they'll probably destroy the wires getting the boots off.
Yes, they're probably stuck
steady.
to the spark plug. They probably have
Yeah.
glued themselves on for the years. Now, when you put those on, they will come with almost every brand of spark plug wire will come with a little bit of silicone that you put on the ceramic of the plug.
For lubrication.
So it does, yeah. So it doesn't stick later. And some people will just smear it all over the plug. And they'll get it on the metal part of the electrode and everything. I don't like to do that. I like to put it just on the ceramic, and then when you put the plug
Imagine
wire
that.
on, it clicks on, and it's because that's where it's meant to be. It's not on the tip, but on the actual ceramic
And pass on the anti-seize.
on the plug itself.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I don't see need for it. I just don't have a problem with them.
Scott, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594.
We forgot
Oh.
to ask, does that qualify?
Yes, it's an 02.
Scott's
Are you
gone?
still there, Scott?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
good.
hold
We
on.
rescued it.
All right, hold
Well,
on.
that is a Berkeley One Classics compatible car for sure, which will save you a ton of money. So we got to know what the color of the car is, but we're going to guess
first,
it
yeah.
and see if we're right. So I'm guessing it's blue. It's a bright, shiny, metallic kind of blue. You know, that electric blue.
I'm going to play the odds and go red.
I believe it's a black 02 Corvette.
Okay. Scott, what color is it?
Oh boy, got a drum roll here. It's red.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for the call, Scott. Good luck. Yeah, and then I would go down the aisle and I would see if there's any red-specific wax or Corvette special wax. I would totally be the mark who buys that.
All right, we're going to welcome some new stations to the Under the Hood family. WZXI 1280 AM, 94.1 FM in Lancaster, Kentucky. WIBW 104.9, 580 AM, Topeka, Kansas. KFRM, the big one, 580 AM, Salina, Kansas. WSYY 1240, Millinocket, Maine. And KFJB 1230 AM, 93.9 FM, Marshalltown, Iowa. Welcome to the family.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show family, and thanks very much for listening to the Under the Hood Show. That's hour one of the show. We've got some people on the line waiting. We're going to take a quick station break here over the hour change, and we'll be back with hour two of the Under the Hood Show in just a couple minutes. Thanks for listening to the Under the Hood Show.
Join the Motor Medics for fun and free automotive advice with real-world solutions to everyday automotive problems. The Under the Hood Show is heard weekly on this and other great radio stations across the U.S. Find out how you can participate in the show by visiting underthehoodshow.com.
With Russ Evans, this is Shannon Nordstrom, thanking you for tuning in to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show. Have a great day, and remember, PTLA.
The opinions heard on this program, based on the many years of experience of Russ and Shannon, are offered for entertainment value only and as a guide to your repair needs. No claim to repair or cause is given or implied. Always consult with your own certified technician and follow all safety procedures before attempting any repair. To be a part of the show, call 866-594-4150. Under the Hood is produced by Prairie House Productions. All content is the property of Nordstrom's Automotive Incorporated and may not be used without our permission. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive, Inc. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. We are glad to have you with us. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Thanks for joining us under the hood.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
I'm Chris Carter here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. 866-594-4150. Got some calls that were on hold while we were playing the music, so let's get right to Trevor. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Trevor, what can we do for you?
Hey guys, I have a '86 Mustang that's blowing a little bit more oil than I would like out of the tailpipe. What would be some of the causes of that?
How much would you like to blow out of the tailpipe? None, right?
That's a good question. I have no idea. It blows about probably like 3 or 4 drops of quarter-sized oil.
Oh, so it's not rolling coal; it's dripping oil.
Yeah.
Do you know it's oil or is it
Water.
wet carbon?
It's water. It's got to be water.
It looks like oil and it smells like oil pretty strongly.
If you in an 86 Mustang, you've got a catalytic. The car's all stock, right?
Yep. It's got a cold air intake, a new distributor, new spark plug.
But I mean, it's still got the factory exhaust with the catalytic converter and everything, correct?
Yep.
It would be.
No, it doesn't actually. It has. I bought it and it had MagnaFlow exhaust on it. So.
Okay. Well,
Right.
if there was the factory exhaust removed and it was kind of straight piped with the muffler, you would have a chance that if you had a very bad oil issue, that you could get oil out the tailpipe. But in most vehicles nowadays, it would be very difficult without you knowing that you're losing a lot of oil, and the car would most likely not be running right at all.
The oil at the tailpipe would just be another thing, right? Not the thing.
It'd be a result of something horrible.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean.
To get actual oil out the tailpipe. I really think it's hydrocarbons that were in the exhaust system that have gotten wet with condensation, and then it's pushing those droplets out the tailpipe, and they're discolored, and they're going to have a petroleum.
That's common. Yeah.
Look to them. That's my hunch, because you're not losing oil or anything that you know of.
No, not that I know of. I'm not seeing any oil. My only thought would be is it's got a pretty rough startup. It takes a little bit to start it up.
So it's probably running very rich. And so if it's running really rich,
it's real common to see that. In fact, we have a lot of customers that'll say, especially after engine or work or something's been done or transmission work, they'll say, I've got a leak under my car now. We actually had one towed a couple weeks ago because they said that thing's leaking all over the place. No, it's your muffler dripping. It's normal, and it was leaking the forward end at the resonator, not out the back. And we had noticed a lot of cars, just because of the temperature and the humidity, it was just right so that many cars were really pouring out the back. In fact, some cars, you'll see them take off from a stop sign or stoplight, and they'll just run water. It'll just pour out the exhaust. What's going on there? And then it's gone. It's just condensation that gets in there. Exhaust systems are made with holes drilled in the mufflers, the converters, and the resonators in order for the moisture to escape and drain out. And it's such a small hole that you won't hear it leaking if you're in the car. If you crawl underneath it and listen real close, you would hear it out that hole. But it's made that way to let the gases escape and for it to leak out and drain. But some of them, aftermarkets especially, either don't have any holes drilled in them because they're like a stainless muffler or something, and they don't worry about the rust, or they're like, hey, maybe you'll buy another one if they fail down the road, or they're not driven as much because it's a collector or something, performance car. So they don't drill them, and they don't drip out, so they end up coming out as it collects in there. It ends up coming out the tip of the exhaust, and it's really dark colored, almost like oil, and it can even get sticky. It's got so much sludge in it.
Okay.
So that's good news, right? How does he check?
Yeah, very good news. I was a little worried there.
Well, I would just look at it with a different thought in your mind.
There you go. Yeah.
Not to say to ignore that it's oil, but it's unlikely that it's oil. Like I said, if you had that much oil that reached that far, that car would be smoking blue.
Yep.
When it heats up, you would be
losing engine.
You'd have an oil loss when you check your oil. and it most likely would be following plugs and not running right.
Is this car a Berkeley Classic?
For sure.
100%.
Okay.
I'm having it. It's if it's my car, it's going to be insured with Berkeley Classics.
Do I get to ask him
Berkeley
do I get to ask him a
One
question?
Classics.
Can I ask him a question?
Okay. Don't say the color of the vehicle
No,
yet.
nothing
Okay.
to do with the color of the vehicle.
All right.
I'm just.
Okay.
Is this a base Mustang or is it a Mustang GT?
Mhm.
It's a base Mustang.
Okay.
Then it's black.
Black. Russ says black. You want to go second?
Base Mustang, it's gray.
I'm going to say it's in the red family, but it's darker than like a regular. It's
Any
darker
shade of
than-
red. We'll go with that,
It's
Chris.
darker than a Corvette red. What color is the Mustang?
Regatta blue.
Oh,
we all win.
there we go. Thank you very much for the descriptor there, because it sounded fancy there, Trevor.
The 86 Mustang, the GTs, the convertibles, hardtops with a 5-speed, and the IROC Zs, the Firebirds, the Trans Ams, those were the hot cars, like in school when I was in the high school.
That was our era.
There was an occasional Corvette somebody had, but they just were not Mustangs and Camaros. You had to be cool if you had a Mustang or converter. Even if it was an older Mustang, you could be cool too.
Trevor, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. I just realized something. Us going, oh, that was all of us, all three of us going, what's Regatta blue?
I had a vision of what the blues were in that era.
I
So
wonder what Regatta
I think
is.
I
Right here, Chris.
Yeah, it's got to be something like that.
It's right here. No, it's this.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Let's talk to Mark. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Mark, what can we do for you?
Good morning. I have a 2011 Honda Odyssey EXL. Got 115,000 miles on it, and it was making some noise on the passenger lower. It ended up being the timing chain. So I had the timing chain replaced, the water pump replaced. While they were there, I also had them do the plugs and the coils and had a valve adjustment. And now when you put it sounds great when it's idling in park, and you put it in gear and there's a knock on the passenger lower side that I just can't figure out what it is. I took it actually to Honda, and they said that's normal, but I swear it didn't do it before we had the work done.
Well, we talk about this a lot, and Russ witnesses it firsthand often, where, and I'm not trying to foo-foo that you got a problem, but often that people are so tuned in after they've just spent a bunch of money and had a major replacement done. Your feelers are super tuned.
I just did a bunch of work to my mower a while ago, and I went, this is a new noise. And then I went, nothing I can do about it. So I just drove it. And then I realized a few weeks later, I went, oh, I've not paid attention to that anymore. So I started listening and went, oh, no, it's still there, but I didn't realize it. So it must have been there before.
But having said that, when you did that little mission to go have Honda listen to it, were they vested in this process?
Oh, did they do the work?
Were they the ones that worked on it, or were they the one?
They didn't do the work on it, actually. So they didn't even charge me. Normally it's $100, and they said, we're not going to charge you anything. They were very nice about it. I even went and rode around with the tech. And
okay. If they say it's normal,
there's the sound.
If they say it's normal and they didn't do the work and they didn't charge you for it, I'd say that's a good one. That's a win. It's normal.
And we've always encouraged people, if you're just not sure and you're still a bit nervous, find another one like it and listen.
They can have some piston slap noise into them a little bit.
But a good inspection, though, of what we always encourage that, where the work was done, have them look over things again, make sure there's not an external belt tensioner that's got something rubbing behind it, just something that could be chattering, making some abnormal noises. But
pen cap.
I think you've done a good path right now, and I think you spent money and you did good maintenance that had to be done. You did the valve adjustment that we had just talked about on a previous episode on a Honda. And so hopefully you're good to go for a long time.
Mark, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. That's like my daughter. When I heard her car making that noise, I asked her, does it always make that noise? She said, I've never heard the engine on this vehicle, not once. The music's always playing before I drive. So I wouldn't know. I can relate.
Yeah, no, for sure.
866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
Prepare to learn something. You're going under the hood.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Now let's talk to Bruce. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Bruce, what can we do for you?
Hey guys, quick question for you here. I drive about 40 to 50 to 60 miles a day in my F150, pretty much all city. So I'm looking for what I consider a grocery getter, just an average car, good gas mileage. But my question is, what do you think about cars with salvage title? They're generally cheaper, and for my purposes, I'm kind of leaning that way.
I've driven salvage title cars my entire life. My life's a wreck. I've seen on a t-shirt once. But if the vehicle is properly repaired by a person that knows what the heck they're doing, just remember you drive the vehicle, not the title. It does come into play a bit on financing for some people. It does come into play a little bit for insurance with some insurance companies.
And it might surprise you. Look into that before you do it.
To understand that piece of it. And
I ran into that with mine. I've got one that had very minor damage to it. I took it to the dealership who sold it to have it repaired. They 100% removed the damaged piece, put the factory one back on.
Did it right.
And there was no way to tell. And I have the receipt that says there's no way to tell this from a non-wrecked vehicle. And it was all put back together, but it still says salvage. And my insurance company said, that's a salvage vehicle. And it was, written accordingly. But there's no way to tell. Unless you put a bumper sticker on the back of a car, if it's done right, you should never be able to tell that
One thing I will say, I got a lot of experience in this arena, is that we've sold vehicles when we were really selling a lot of repairables to many, many people. And the majority of them use professionals to get the unibody structure work done. They went to professional alignment shops to get the finish work done. They worked with professional body shops to do the finish and paint work. And many of them were those people themselves. And they did it on the side, no different than a carpenter that would build his own house. But there were some that today yet end up in the hands of people that think they know how to build a house, that build a house and shouldn't. Or they think they know how to repair a car and they're just not quite there yet. And it does get concerning. So like anything else you're going to buy, whether it is a salvage title vehicle or a regular vehicle, we still really, really believe in the used vehicle inspection and having somebody just look at it and look at the underside. You might not be looking for salvage repair. You may be looking for, in our area of the world, rust that's on the structure of the K-frame because it's a 10-year-old car. Or you might be seeing the fact that, oh my gosh, this has got oil leaking all underneath the car and it's grazed underneath the back of the car. Where's this coming from? And you don't see it when you look at the pretty paint job or the nice wheels it has on or the really nice tires. You're blinded by some of that. So I really believe a second party, even if it's just paying $100 to a repair shop to put it up on the hoist and look it over, is where you're gonna make more difference that way. I hope I helped you with that a little bit, but just remember, you drive the vehicle, not the title. Get it inspected and see how the repairs were done. Because I guess to finish my thought on the repairers that probably aren't as skilled that get involved in this sometime, they give it a bad name. They're also the ones that'll be the first to tell you that it was barely wrecked. It wasn't a big deal. I don't know why they put a salvage title on it as part of their attempt to make it.
They'll say they brought it to the dealer. The dealer put an actual new piece on it.
But nowadays, you can take, this is a hack you can do. You can take the VIN number of a lot of cars and just Google it. And if you find out when you Google the VIN number, if it's been at a salvage auction or things like that, you can often find pictures of it when it was wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Sure.
And see what it looked like. And I tell you what, some of the best deals people have bought and brought to our shop over the years have been hail damage cards because they said, well, I'm kind of afraid of something that's been crinkled somewhere. It's like, what about hail? Well, I can see that. It's still there. If you want a car that has lower miles for a lower price, Get one that's got visible hail damage, not just little dings, like one that looks like somebody's been playing golf practice on it.
Yeah.
If maybe it's got a cracked window here and there that you can fix. But I tell you what, the more panels that are bent, the cheaper it goes. And you can't see it at night. Get a nighttime job. And
Yeah, there you go. Keep it dirty. If
or
you just keep
maybe
it dirty,
you could probably wrap it like a golf ball. Get a hail damaged car that was really bad and then wrap it to look like a golf ball.
Fun.
Does that help you out there, Bruce?
Yes, it does. I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks a lot for the call. Yeah, wouldn't hesitate for a minute. The idea of it. Individual car is what you got to look at, right?
There's some people that just shouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's folks that are wired in a way that they find everything that can be wrong, and that trigger could just be too much for them.
Yep, absolutely.
So some people just shouldn't do it.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Pete. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Pete, what can we do for you?
Oh,
yep. Are you there? Go ahead.
Yeah. So I got a 11 F-150, and all of a sudden it started doing this. If I started out going down the interstate, it'd ding check brake system and everything would turn red. And then you'd go to touch a pedal and it'd just be just as tight as could be. And then you push on it a little bit and you'd feel the interlocks. And now it's getting progressively worse. Now it's like just even going at highway speed. It used to be just like at interstate speed. And now I noticed the front rotors look like they're pretty shiny, like they're kind of glazed. I'm wondering maybe it was a hub assembly or something, or
you could have a problem with the ABS activating when it shouldn't because you've got a hub that's going bad or a sensor that's going bad. And it could be the front. It could be something in the rear too. But if that red warning light's coming on, that can indicate a number of things. You know, we've seen on F-150s like that, we've seen a number of them with failed anti-lock hydraulic control units, the HCU up front. And when they go bad, you get the red warning light and everything's fine. Everything's normal, but the light is just stuck on all the time. The transistor goes bad inside of it and the light stays on. But then later down the road, other things will happen, like the ABS may engage when it shouldn't. Like as you come to a stop sign, it'll come on just before you stop because one wheel drops out faster than the other as far as the wheel speed sensor goes. Or going down the highway, it loses one of the wheel speed sensors just for a second. At least the computer loses that signal. Even though the sensor may be good, the computer may not be reading it. And it kicks that ABS on and gives you a weird feeling, like, what's going on here? So typically, the biggest thing we see problems with is that hydraulic control unit on the F-150s. But it could be something else. You're going to want to do a safety brake check where you look at your pads and rotors.
Yeah, when you got a red light on, that's telling you there's something in the pressure system typically.
Unless the module's bad.
Like you said earlier.
But you can scan it and see what the codes say if it says there's a pressure sensor out.
And that's going to lead you to the right place to look.
Because if it says everything's fine and you've got a pressure, and the pressure feels good, but the light's on and everything else is fine, and it's not the parking brake switch from pushing that parking brake pedal down. Yeah, and the parking brake pedals, the back cables can stick and not pull the cable all the way up because the pedal may be all the way up, but there's a retractor inside of there that doesn't move the whole way.
What did you mean when you said you get a tight pedal? Can you explain that a little bit better?
what? Yeah, you like when I'm going down the highway and that it dings at me and it says check brake system and the brake light comes on. You go to touch the pedal and I mean you can hardly push it. It's just as hard as can be. And then finally you push on it harder and harder, and then all of a sudden you'll feel the analogs and they'll go brrr, and then after that, then it's back to normal. And you shut the truck off and turn it back on, and the light goes away, and everything's fine.
That sounds like something.
It never does it like just driving around short, slow trips. You know, I live on a gravel road and
sure
stuff like that. Just driving around normal, it never does it. But it just at highway speeds, if I drive 10, 15 miles.
Yeah, it sounds like
I took a trip about an hour here a while back, and it did it to me twice within about 30 miles. And then the whole I shut it off, turned it back on, whole rest of the way down there and back, it never did it again.
if it's got a problem with the ABS control unit and it's shutting the inlet valves off, it would do that. Pedal would be hard as a rock, and then if the ABS went off, then it could release it. So it sounds like I'd be looking that direction to see what's going on.
But a scan of the system is going to be imperative on that to be able to see what it's telling you, because instead of guessing too much, that gives you the clue of where to look.
Thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the End of the Hood Show. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. 866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the End of the Hood Show. Don't forget, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch the show, you also can sign up at the underthehoodshow.com. Join the Hoodie Fan Club. You might win a hoodie.
Like Melinda Barnes, congratulations from our friends over at Universal Technical Institute. Find them at uti.edu.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Keith. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Keith, what can we do for you?
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I've got 2011 Nissan Murano. I replaced the clock spring in it. The cruise control and the horn were not working, and then I had an airbag that was blinking. So I got all that replaced, and my airbag is still blinking even after I've reset it. So can't figure out why.
Have you scanned it to find out what the computer thinks the problem is?
I did. I don't remember now what it said, but after I replaced that clock spring, the horn works, and the
Cruise works?
cruise control also works. Yeah.
Well,
So I was figuring it was all together.
it could be, but there might be multiple things. So you could have had a clock spring fail and all those things could have gone out at once, which is normal. That's what they should do because they're all connected to the same circuits in the clock springs. But if it also had another code that maybe didn't realize was there, like frontal impact sensor or passenger presence system or something like that, or one of the seatbelt buckles, now that you've fixed the one problem, you've eliminated the steering wheel stuff, but you still have one of those other sensors out. So it's possible you've got one of the other ones out. I know we've had, on Muranos, we've had multiple seatbelt problems, but I tell you what, but by far that clock spring is like the old Caravans. That clock spring is by far a huge failure item on those things. We see a ton of them come in with an airbag light. We check them, and that it says driver's side air deployment loop open, and it's that clock spring, and we'll check the horn and all that, and something's not working, horn or cruise.
I once put a vehicle together. It was a minivan, and I put airbags in it. Got done. Didn't feel really good because there was a light on yet. Somebody forgot to plug the airbag in after putting everything back together.
Oh, no, somebody. That somebody. I know that somebody, too.
Do I know that somebody?
You do.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it's not me.
No.
And it's not, it could have been you, Chris, but the
But it's
airbag
someone
was
in this room, right?
The airbag was plugged in, but there is a little lock connector that most all plug-in connectors have that most people throw them away. Like, let's say you're putting an injector, you click it on, you go, it's fine. The little red tab is gone. Don't need it. With an airbag system, you need it because when you put the little lock bar in there, it lifts up on a little shorting bar that goes across the connector. So what happens is you pull the red tab out, or the orange one on these airbags, it drops down a metal bar which puts a short across both of the pins on the airbag, so there's no static discharge there, so that when you unplug it, it won't go off. And that minivan Shannon was talking about was missing that clip, and it had just fallen out. It's supposed to stay with it, but it was gone. We had another one that it was a side impact bag that had one missing from that too. And we had to find one of those, and it just became, it seemed like for about a year, we had a few of them come in with that same
scan
thing.
it, and if it says it's still coming from that,
If it says shorted driver's deployment loop, you can almost bet that lock connector, that tab is missing or broken in that driver's airbag.
Does that help you out there, Keith?
Very good. Yeah, I hope so.
Thanks very much for the call. Good luck. You get a pass on that one.
Oh, I've done plenty of stuff like that. That's how I
That
learned.
was the black one, right? The RT?
That's how I learned.
RT.
Yeah.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Dave. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Dave, what can we do for you?
Hey guys, love the show. I'm calling on behalf of my son. He's out to college out in Wyoming, and he's got an 05 Toyota Tundra. He couldn't start it. His battery's bad. Replaced the battery. Shortly after that, the maintenance required light came on, and shortly after that, check engine came on. He says it has sputtered a few times, and it killed at a stoplight on him. Other than that, he's still driving it. He took it to a shop out there, and they told him that the check engine light was due to a tranny solenoid, and they don't work on trannies. And he needs to drive this back home to South Dakota, which is over 600 miles. And I'm calling to see if with what he's been told, if that's something he should undertake and drive back next week, or if we need to get this fixed out there before he gets it home.
Well, the light's on, but it still shifts all the gears fine, and it gets up into high gear and lock up, and the tach's showing where it should be at highway speed.
Yeah, he's not over revving the engine or.
Yep.
There's no reason you can't drive it home and get it fixed here. But if it's not shifting right or slipping,
or it has a very bad misfire or something like that, that's the things you want to watch out for. And it's a steady check engine light, check transmission, something flashing on the handle or something, and it's not a flashing check engine light or anything like that, correct?
Correct. So they cleared the maintenance required, but the check engine light stays illuminated constantly, and it still drives fine. He said he's just having these issues once in a while with it sputtering. And would that, if there was something in the low gear in the tranny, would that be enough to cause it to kill at a stoplight?
if it's a lockup solenoid or something that it's stuck in gear, allowing it to engage the transmission while you're stopped, yeah, it could pull it down and kill it.
Unusual for one of them, wouldn't it be, Russ?
Yes, extremely unusual. I think it's probably just got some kind of tune issue causing it to do that. In a Tundra, it's probably air, probably the secondary air injection, something going on with that.
That's what you see the most.
Super
our
common.
personal experiences and looking on the internet, that's what you see a lot of.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'll have him drive it home, and when he gets home, I will come see you guys.
Once again, though, just to reiterate, if it is running, like normal, he hasn't had an amazing loss or a fuel economy. He's not, because sometimes they'll misfire so bad they get lean and you'll start smelling things. But if everything seems like it's driving pretty normal, shifting pretty normal, should be good to go.
Dave, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's go to South Carolina and talk to Jeff. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Jeff, what can we do for you?
You want to buy an 06 Dodge Ram in great shape?
Any call that starts with a sigh,
yeah,
we're ready for it. He gets on the he's
well,
like,
you guys helped me a couple years ago. I had a fuel pump issue. I put a new fuel pump. It's a 06 Ram with 3.7, and of course it was a cheap pump. And you suggested the inline check valve. That worked great. Well, little by little, I started having multiple misfires over the last several months. I chased it down to number 2 and number 4. I've replaced the valve lash, the adjusters, whatever they call those. And while I had the valve covers off, the lobes are good. Everything's functioning. I did a little primitive bleed down last weekend. Put air in the cylinder, took it top dead center. Don't hear a thing. Nothing. No head gasket. I don't think there's a head gasket issue. It's quiet on 2 and 4. Coils, packs, spark plugs, injectors. I give up. It's progressively got worse and worse. It used to be it would start once you drove, and then when it warmed up, it would get better. Now it is dead. Both cylinders, 2 and 4, are dead as a doornail.
how many miles are on this now?
240.
My gosh, I can't believe it would break.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has been very well babied and great service, but
Get yourself
I'll say this, Jeff, if you had called up sobbing, you could not have portrayed your sadness more. You are completely letting us know how you feel.
And he spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
Get yourself a long
I'm crestfallen.
socket extension, like a 3/8 extension that's like, a foot and a half long or whatever, a foot long, whatever you've got at home to do it. And then stick it on the side of the injectors on that side and listen to it. You'll put up to your ear and you'll hear it go ding, 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 ding. If it goes thud, 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 and the other ones that are working go tink, tink, that injector's clogged. Or if it does nothing, if it's like nothing, nothing, and then that third one goes click, 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 then those injectors aren't working. So at least you can find out, are the injectors turning on? And if they're a sharp, crisp sound like the ones that work, they're clean and flowing. If they are not, then they're dirty and they're not working. And sometimes those two on the end of the rail like that could end up with trash in them, and they could progressively get worse. You know, you could have number 2 start at the end of the rail there in the front as dirty, and then it could move up to number 4 and then to 6 and so on. And the other side, number 1, 2 on the other side, or 3 on the other side. So check that first. See if you got some fuel going on there. And then we've got to check and find out, do we have spark on all those cylinders? You know, find out, pull the coil out, check it up, see if we got spark, stick another plug in there, you know, and watch it. So we know if we've got spark and we've got fuel. And then if that is there and it's a good clean fuel, then we're going to have to move on to finding out with a real leak down tester what's going on with those cylinders. Because even though it sounds like nothing's leaking, we just had a couple lately with these V8 Chevys that are having some bent valve issues. They're kind of folding over like an umbrella in the rain, and they're leaking, but not always. If we put air pressure in the cylinder, they seal up. We're like, okay, I don't hear anything. And then we crank it over, and the compression's gone. It won't run. Then we put air in there again, and they seal up, and then nothing. And the carbon and the valve being tulipped out a little bit is causing the problem, and it's just a steel issue they're having in some of these new ones. But so what I'm saying is, you may have your leak down test may work in some cases, but maybe not in this one.
And this, since it's just those 2 cylinders, probably not a timing chain issue or anything?
No, I'm kind of leaning towards an injector issue. You may even swap them around to a different cylinder. Yeah, he's replaced injectors, but try moving some around. And when you take the rail off, dump it out, clean it out really good, make sure that it's clean in there.
If the problem moves when you move injectors.
I just put an injector in one of these engines yesterday because it was dead on one hole.
What about an injector connector?
I put a new connector on. So I bought the injector,
I just want to say that,
and I bought the connector.
Don't get me started.
And put them together, and it was because I'm not taking it apart if I'm not putting the connector on.
You're gonna have to inspect her. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna stop. Jeff, thanks very much for the call.
Inspect her, and a rat had not wrecked her.
594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you.
Get your planner out right now and schedule your next radio appointment with the Motor Medics.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. What other tools? I have a question. What other tools besides the extender or the socket extension will work for that? Will a big old screwdriver with the plastic head?
No, I like the metal of the extension because it will transfer the sharp metal tick 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 of the injector all the way up so you can hear it. Like a stethoscope does really good for that. A mechanic stethoscope that's not open.
Not
on the
one that
end.
you would use.
Not like a
not
doctor's.
Super sensitive.
you want it sensitive, but not. You want a mechanic's one, which is made for these things.
Right.
If you use a block of wood, you can hear it clicking, but you can't hear it goes to thud
distinct
like a dirty injector because it's a good piece of wood. Or a plastic screwdriver will do the same thing. So just make sure you don't touch an ignition coil when you're listening to the injector.
That'd be bad.
I've gotten shocked a couple times because it's been a little damp and I've
ear shock.
It will zap you. It's been my hand, but
ear shot.
This is not good.
No, you get an ear shock.
I know, but if you're within ear shot,
you're right.
I've never
if you're
heard
within ear shock,
ear
move
shock
the
would be
screwdriver.
50 to 100,000 volts of ignition coil voltage will wake you up.
That would be an ear shock.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Rick. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Rick, what can we do for you?
Well, I have a 2015 Challenger with a 5.7 Hemi, and usually in the spring when we start it up, it rattles a little bit, and then that rattle goes away. It sounds like a lifter to me. Is there anything? This year I started it up, and it just hasn't went away yet. I only maybe let it run for 10 minutes. I didn't just let it run idle either. And is there anything I can do about that, or is this going to be one of those tear the whole motor apart?
Well, I'm getting concerned if it's getting louder every year that you may have some wear now, and if it ticks long enough, it will turn into wear. They've had their share of camshaft and issues on these, lifter issues, things like that. If it's continuous and it's pretty noisy and it's been run like an hour already and it's still doing it, I'm probably going to pull off. It'll be the driver's valve cover is where I'm going to start, and I'm going to start the engine up, and I'm going to watch the rockers. And it seems like the second cylinder back from the front on the driver's side is the one that fails on these, and you'll see one rocker's not moving as far as the next one. And if that's the case, you want to address it now before it gets worse, because if it's not too bad, you might be able to tear it down and repair it. If it gets too bad, it's going to need an engine, and there's a lot of metal left floating through that engine.
Any case where it's
Sure,
is this a really low mileage car?
Yes.
Yeah, and it could be a broken valve
Yes, it's
spring
only
in there.
5,000-6,000 miles.
And if it's got that low of miles, it may just be a stuck lifter.
Yeah,
And
it's the same.
the first step I'd try before I even take the valve cover off is going to find some Justice Brothers.
There we go. That's where I was going to head to.
Engine tune-up is what they call it. It comes in a can and a bottle. They're exactly the same thing. And you can pick that up from professional automotive repair centers like us. We do that. You can find it at a number of auto parts stores that sell it as an add-on for their professional centers. Like around the Midwest area here, it would be Sturtevant's Auto Supply. This is now Auto Value, but you'll see a few of the stores still labeled Sturtevant's, or if you remember them as being Sturtevant's, now they're Auto Value. They can have it. And if you can't find it at an auto parts store like that, just ask a local mechanic, because mechanics are where it's geared towards the professional, and because it's a professional type application.
Does that help you out there, Rick?
We've used it a lot, and it's quieted down a lot of things like this. Because we'll get vehicles that have been damaged, and they're sitting in waiting for titles to get cleared up in our hold lot, waiting to be dismantled. And there's times we'll start one up, and it's like, oh my gosh, this thing's so low mileage, but it's got this noise in it. And a little bit of that engine tune-up, once it works into the system, it's just got some good stuff in it that can help free up some of that stuff.
We'll take an engine, warm it up, shut it off, take the oil cap off, pour a can in there, put the cap back on, and start it up. And if it's gonna fix it, literally, usually it's like within 30 seconds to a minute, it just tick tick tick. Ooh, where'd it go? It's just gone.
And then you're like, yes.
And it'll evaporate out of the system as it warms up, so you don't have to do anything. Just leave it in there, drive it, and then it's time for that oil change. Change it.
Does that help you out there, Rick?
Sounds good. Yes, very much.
Thanks very much for the call. I noticed that you just said something that made me think of it. The town I live in a small town. I go to that Sturtevant's, and because I am in it seems like their selection is almost greater than when I go to some stores in Sioux Falls because of that. It's the only, they have the professional stuff on the shelf too.
The Sturtevant stores, the Auto Value stores that they've become now, they all have a computer system, their point of sale system, that if you go in and say, I need a PCV valve for a Pontiac Solstice, they type it in to look for it. Oh, I don't have it. They hit the lost sale button because insufficient quantity. Goes in the system. Same way with Nordstrom's Auto Recycling. Okay. It will track it. And then they say, we had 60 requests for this part and we did not have it this quarter. We should probably think about stocking this because we have a lot of rural people around here with these vehicles, and we're going to start stocking it. Then they start selling it. More people know that they have it. More people come to buy it. It's on their shelf consistently. Whereas in town, maybe we don't have the rural population that is visiting that store. So instead of them, they say, we've got 80 of these on the shelf. We only sold 12 last quarter. Let's stock a lot less of these and send them to those other stores. So each store learns what their stocking should be. So yes, you can find some parts at some of those rural stores that you would not find at the big store. And then if you need something like around this area with Auto Value, if we need something, we can pretty much, if they don't have it at our store, they have it at the next store, and it can be sent over, usually within a day. If it's something really crazy, it might be a couple days to get ordered out of a, not just like the main distributorship, but like maybe they have one left because we picked some crazy item that nobody should be buying, that they sell one of a year, and it's 3 states away and it's got to go through some system to get there. But you're not going to get that anywhere anyways because nobody's going to have it. It may even be discontinued, but Auto Value has kept it.
I have another idea. I want you to look up, Shannon, what single part you've sold the most of.
We did that not
by
too long
part
ago.
type or by specific vehicle?
I think by part specific. What actual part has come through the system the most?
I can figure that out.
Okay. If anyone can anyone in the building, like, is that available?
If they knew what button to hit, they could.
Is that
well,
available?
no, it's a report you have to run, but
okay.
We can get that.
All right.
I can tell you just sitting here right now that the number one thing that we sell is a wheel.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I just didn't know how
The
specific
number
you wanted
one
to
thing our shop buys is an engine.
Really?
Yeah. As far as a used part goes, it's an engine
Okay.
followed by a differential and then a transmission. So differentials, front and rear ends. Yeah, we sell more of those than we do transmissions. And then after transmission is transfer case. So engine, differential, transmission, transfer case. That's what we buy. And we buy, I mean, we do more engines and transmissions than most shops. And I think a lot of that has to do with because people know we have used engines and transmissions and parts available. And also because there's people that are done with their car and they say, I just want to sell it and scrap it because I don't want to fix it because in my head it's going to be too expensive to put an engine in it. And then it's like, have you thought about putting an engine in it if you're ready to scrap this? No, it's going to be too much. Have you checked? Oh, no, I didn't even get a price. Well, our guys will get you a price and we'll see. So we do a lot. I mean, we've done over 10,000 of them in our shop, and that's a whole lot. I mean, like right now there's like 12 of them sitting up there ready to get going. So I'd say we specialize. It's one of the things we specialize in, but we also do a ton of electronic repair and other stuff. And you know what? We put a number of wheels on it every year too, but definitely not our number one seller at
Last
our place.
year, I think we sold 8,337 wheels.
That seems like a lot of wheels, doesn't it, Chris?
Why do you have that number at the ready?
Because I did that report of the end of the
Just
year
recent-
part types
okay.
for our staff, at the end of
Sure.
the year meeting, and I just remember that number because the year before that it was like 7,700.
That's a lot of wheels. If you
That
were
is
to
a lot
lay
of
those all out in our parking lot, 8,300 would probably mostly cover the parking lot if they were just one layer.
Well, our
That's a
warehouse
lot of
holds
wheels.
about 2,500 where we keep the wheels.
Ooh. And you've seen that.
So we rotate that out basically 3 times a year.
I would not like to have to run the tires on that, like the wheels on that,
Ooh.
like football practice in the parking lot. Go get through all 8,300 wheels. Oof, it's gonna take a while.
Well,
I think.
I'm not even going to get into the fact that you don't. Yeah.
No, but I could.
If
I
it's-
could step
assuming they
on
were-
the- I
assuming
could
they were
step on the-
tires.
I could step.
You would
on
twist
the,
an ankle on the third one.
Oh yeah.
We were figuring out one time if
Matter
we
of fact,
had all the
Third one, you'd be down.
Matter of fact, I'm not even gonna try because my ankle's bad.
No,
I'm
you'd
not
be-
gonna even start.
The second one, you'd be
'cause
down. You'd say, "Oh, I can't do this."
Yesterday, I was working out and I did jujitsu and I got twisted.
Were you?
Yeah.
Were you
so-
working with Joe?
Yep. I can't.
You and Joe doing some jujitsu?
I do a lot. Mostly cardio. Every other day.
Yeah.
Joe Azuzu.
No.
Right.
Yeah, I know you've got to get going, but we
Uh-huh.
did a little bit of after show here because it's after. And
Thank
those
you.
those of you still,
We have a
thank you,
guest-
great Alyssa, that has helped us out today.
Guest
Our
producer today.
producer Doug is having some eye procedures done over the next.
He's getting him poked. They're gonna just. It's called Three Stooges. The Three Stooges procedure. Yep.
Wise guy.
One at a time.
Yeah, they're going to be working on a little cataract, and you know, I didn't ask him.
I thought he had a Dodge.
Isn't that a boat?
You guys are so funny. But is he getting a cornea from a human, or one of my employees asked, was it from a pig? Because they do that with pig corneas too, I guess.
That would just be weird to get those pink, beady
I don't
little
know.
eyes.
I don't know that we should be talking about any of this.
No,
what if he's
getting a
one on the black
human-
market?
He's getting a human, regular, dead person.
Well, they use the cells and they kind of glaze it to grow back type thing, right? It's not like they cut it out and put it in. I should know a lot more before I open my mouth. Right?
That's one way that you could think about it that way. That you should learn more, or I
It's
would
more
go the
fun
other
when
way.
I just throw it out there, isn't it?
I don't know, but they did the first. Oh boy, I read it. They did a mechanical heart and pig kidney on someone the other day. At the genetically modified pig kidney and mechanical heart. I think I don't. Oh boy,
There's some crazy stuff that
It's
they're doing.
crazy.
To think that they could grow it in a petri dish and then put it in India, that kind of stuff too, is from cells. Didn't they grow a liver for from like cells and put it in somebody?
They do all sorts of crazy stuff. I know my mom had the heart when they did an ablation, so they burned off most of the heart muscle, and because of afibrillation, and then they used they got a pacemaker to run it. Well, when they first did the surgery, they had it going faster because they
This is
wanted
the Under the
things
Hood
to,
show, by the way.
Yeah. Yep.
to heal. So it was in the office, and they said, okay, it's time to change your thing. So they just pulled out their little app on their tablet basically and said, okay, we're going to change
Pro.
AZ Pro at AutoZone, and then just hit the button and change the rate. And it instantly went from like 110 to 62. It's like, how do you do that? It's like, well, it's electronic. That's what's keeping you going. If we turn it off, you're gone. You're done.
Relax.
Whoa. Yeah.
Now listen,
crazy.
There are times on this show where we talk about cars and make car people crazy because we don't exactly know what their car is doing. Can you imagine what people are thinking, listening right now, or watching?
If they thought they tuned into the Medical Minute?
No, who know anything?
And they know that they're obviously going to know that we know nothing.
Yeah. Well, I'm just worried about that they're watching going, oh my God, stop. My phone just buzzed. I wonder what's
Mine
going
did
on.
too.
Did it?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's I don't know.
If you start looking
it's
It's Doug.
It's Doug. Not a pig's eye.
Oh, there we go. It is Doug.
That's where I grew up.
He can still see. That's good.
Well, he could have a seeing eye. Lois could be
Seeing eye
typing
pig.
for him.
Get a seeing eye pig. They're
Seeing eye
smart.
pig.
I grew up in Pig's Eye, right by Pig's Eye Peralt's Cave in St. Paul.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there you go, huh?
Oh my gosh, that's Doug. Glad you're paying attention.
Why aren't you here? If you can be texting, why don't you
text
just
us? You could answer the phone.
Yeah.
He's like,
Jeez.
start the recorder. Okay.
Oh, whoops.
Oh, darn.
You did that, right?
Just kidding, Doug. We did.
I don't know for sure, so I'm not going to say anything.
That hasn't stopped you today on anything else.
No, that's true. Well, we pray for Doug that everything's going to go well. Maybe when are they doing it this morning? Is he done already? Maybe.
No, I think it's
Noon.
because he's
Noon.
Yeah, so we're stressing him out right now when he's about in pre-op or something.
He's probably stressed out enough.
It's
I
just
don't think-
amazing how all that medical stuff works because I've studied a ton of it just to watch how it does it. And it's like a lot of it is basically like some surgeries. Oh, that looks bad. We're just going to cut it off.
I wonder if
Throw it away. What?
Here's a question.
It works.
If I had been a doctor, let's just say,
Yeah.
do you lose this is now me,
Yeah.
Chris Carter. When I was younger, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I could watch things happen like somebody getting hurt
Yeah.
playing a sport or, oh, look at that one. A perfect example, Anderson Silva.
Oh.
When that happened, when that move happened in the UFC, I was like, oh gosh, watch this again. Oh, now I can't watch that video. I can't watch that specific one. Or if they say, oh, hey, if this is kind of a gruesome replay, don't watch it. If you don't, I don't watch.
Okay, you're that person that they're
Right.
making the disclaimer for
Yeah,
now.
and I never used to be. That
And I-
happened over
and I
years.
sheepishly still look at it.
I do too. But I wonder if I had been a doctor, let's say I was a doctor and I was now a doctor for the last 25 years, would I be in there going, oh, that's gross.
No, you're just digging in and
can't-
doing your thing because
Oh.
it's your normal.
But it's the same. I mean, watching people get hurt used to be my normal. We were talking about my brother when he was playing football, college football. He got knocked out and he ran to the wrong sideline because he was so dazed, and we thought that was so funny. And then when he came over, I was ball boy because I was in grade school. I was like, oh, do you know where you are? And he's like, no. I'm like, it's hilarious. Get back in, you wimp.
Changing times.
Get in there. Now punt returning, I think they should just it should always be a fair catch.
I went to have I told the story about when we were kids? Yeah, I've told this story. We found 1985 Somerset Regal, golden color. We bought it at the Salvage Center at Minneapolis. When we got the car, there was tapes in the back. And it was a brand new car. It had like less than 1,000 miles on it. And at that time, that car was like the Grand Am, the Somerset. They were new. They were kind of cool. They had a radio stack in the middle that had a little head on it, like a Berlinetta Camaro.
Push button stuff that always broke.
Yeah, it was like pretty cool looking cars. But we had bought this car, hit pretty hard in the one corner, and that videos, it was an orthopedic surgeon apparently that had the car, or somebody delivering to an orthopedic surgeon or something. But we had videos of a knee replacement. And us kids watched that video so many times. Our friends would come over, we'd pop that VHS tape again, and it was of a knee replacement. And so it was gruesome.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we learned about the patella planar and the femur reamer, and we're talking power tools. They got this leg on the bench, and this person, and it's just they're flopping it around like you said. They're doing what they do.
They in certain situations, you get broken bone. They cut you open. They take a drill, which is a sterile drill. It's
Why
not
are
my
we
Milwaukee.
talking about this?
Well, it's not my Milwaukee, but they basically put a bolt in there.
Thank you.
They put a screw in there. They screw it one way or the other with sterile, stainless equipment.
And they showed them tapping the insert into the bone, like ting, 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 like don't break the ice.
Well, I was trying to talk to a heart surgeon the other day because we've got this Hummer at our place that just dies at random, and I'm like, I don't want to work on it.
Is it
because
still dying?
It's never died, not once.
I see it sitting there. I didn't know if it ever died or not.
So she's like, I will pay you. I don't care what it takes. Is there any way you can figure out? Because it's worthless to me, and it's a nice vehicle. I said, well, I could probably put the motorcycle on the trailer behind it, and then I could drive this thing, and when it dies, I'll see if I can see anything on my scan tool. I'll just take the motorcycle and go somewhere. I'll take it on a weekend, and then I'll come back to it because it always starts an hour later. So I was like, she's like, I don't get it. I don't know what I'm saying. I was like, well, look, it's like this way. It's like we have to see it happen
has to break.
to occur. I said, if a patient comes to you and their heart is just
how'd that
stopping
go?
at random,
Yep.
how do you know? Well, we have a scanner on it, and we do flight recorder, and we could see it's like exactly the same with the car. We've got a scanner on it. We drive it when we see it die. We look for what did we have a signal
you know what you
loss?
could do?
What did we have?
She could buy you a new scanner, and she's smart enough.
She probably would.
Show her how to use it, and
Oh.
then just leave it in the vehicle. And then when it's done, that's our gift.
We just keep it. Yeah. No, it's certain things have to be hooked up, and you don't want to leave them on there because people would take them. That
Yeah.
you could steal them out of the car, so you have to hook it up and you have to drive it. I mean, there's a certain amount of things, so we don't typically do that type of stuff.
By the way, thanks for being a great friend
and
just going for all the most graphic. I mean, why would
we still have that tape somewhere?
Good. Why?
It's probably faded by now.
I don't even want to hear it. But
we were pretty confident after watching that enough times that we could do it. We could do it.
Well, Chris and I are real men because when we had our colonoscopies, we were awake for it. They were separate; they weren't in the same room or anything. But we were awake for it and watched it.
It sounded like a couple's massage.
we were exactly. We were just hanging out.
We watched it on TV. Shannon was like, "Nope, I'll take those. Put me out. Put me out." But it's like it's yeah. When they're
First
when
time
you're
I've ever
watching
been
it,
knocked out
Yeah.
with anesthesia was for my colonoscopy.
Now the guy says, "Of course I'm in there," and you've got the guy doing it, the doctor, and then you've got
What are we going to do with this episode?
You've got an assistant. There was two of them. There were nurses, one male nurse and one female nurse. So you're like, okay, here we go. And the first thing the guy says is, Russ Evans, I guess we're really going under the hood today, aren't we? I was like, yeah. And then he's like asking me car questions as we're doing this thing. He says, oh yeah, you see this, that. Yeah, that's where this pain's coming from. I'm like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Good to see you. I'm like,
I'm not. Was that on purpose, or did you wake up and they didn't give you
no,
enough
they
stuff?
asked. So they say you need someone to drive you home when you're done, and I said, well, I'm just going to go without anesthetic for this one, so I don't need anybody.
It was a choice.
So they said,
that's not
oh
right.
well, we don't usually do that, and I said, well, can you do it? They said, well, yeah, we have, most of the doctors do it without, and occasionally we'll have people, but they really don't like to do it because sometimes people get all nervous and upset about it, and it's
squirmy.
And it's like,
we don't want somebody to jump during that.
yeah. So and I'm like, well, yeah, I don't do anesthesia well, so let's just do it without. And I'd like to know what's going on. So sure enough, I had a great confidence because while they were doing it, I was like, hey, that's the spot that hurts. He's like, well, this is why there's a hole there. You've got diverticulosis. And I went, huh. I said, well, now I feel great because I don't feel like anything's wrong because I could see it. I know what's wrong.
Chris, was yours by choice?
No, I didn't have anything to do with it.
You were out?
No, I didn't.
His wife chose.
I didn't. I left the decisions up to them. So I didn't. Yeah, I was zoning. But yeah.
You had anesthesia, though.
Yeah, some, yeah.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
I had
but
none,
I wasn't
zero,
out.
nothing.
You had a choice of none.
Yeah.
See, I always, when you told that story before, I always assumed that it was just because
No, they don't.
of who you are that the anesthesia just didn't affect you.
No, they don't have to give you anything. Well, and that's true. When I have had it for certain, like I did one sinus surgery without.
Yeah, I remember you telling me
and
that.
it was. I tell you what, it's painful, but I can deal with pain because they just have to. Your brain. Some people
not
just
me.
say,
I'm
"Hey,
like,
you know
hey,
what? It's painful, but I'm not dead. It's just my body reacting to it." But
That video I watched, the knee replacement, you're not doing that without.
no, and it's a good idea for a lot of things. You know, you do not want to move.
Let's end this.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's
you don't
not
want to be moving around when the
it's not
doctor's trying to do their
advised
job.
to-
I don't want you starting your engine while I'm trying to do a tune-up.
There you
know?
go.
I don't want you jumping on the back bumper
got
while
it.
I'm trying to, put the bearings back in the transmission valve
Right.
body. I'm like,
Yeah.
stop moving the car.
Yeah, I think it's good that you're out most of the time.
For certain
Oh,
things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, this is the Under the Hood show, and if you just happen to jump on this
delete
stream and you're not sure, there's some really good automotive advice that you're going to get, and it's
20
interesting,
minutes ago.
somewhat entertaining, but it has nothing to do with anything we just talked about in this after show.
We used to get calls for a doctor show routinely because the number we had for our call system was their phone number from like 10 years ago when they did an actual live over-the-air show.
Yeah.
Now they just take questions on the internet and answer them over the air, but they don't take any calls. So I kept telling the guy,
Called WebMD.
I'm telling you, Dr. Berg show is what it was.
Yeah,
the
there you go. I couldn't
said,
think of it.
BERG. And I was like, there's something wrong. There's no way that I'm getting on a certain day of the week that I'm going to get 20 calls when we're not looking for them. I said, there's got to be, oh, sorry. Yeah, it looks like they had the same number you did at one time. It's not our 866 number. It was a separate one that would actually still come in.
And as far as that growth, I don't know what to do about that.
And
We're
cut.
going to delete the whole thing.
But some people, get right into it when they want to ask a question. They just tell you everything.
Those recorded calls were some
We
of the
get those.
funniest calls
Yeah.
that I had ever heard. I think I played a couple for Chris that I'm like,
We have that with people that call for parts. They just get right into it.
Yeah.
And we're like,
Just-
whoa.
As opposed to the guy who called and wanted to know what was wrong, and when we said, well, you might be looking at an engine. Oh, yeah, I already did that.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, so.
I already did that. No, I want to know what was wrong before that. All right.
Oh, Chris, you said you had to go. And
Yeah.
now here we are just goofing around. It was
Yep.
fun, though.
It was till the end. Went real dark.
Should I have not have made a
I don't know.
reference in that area? I was trying to think
we
of
were-
I've heard worse.
I was just trying to think of something
We
uncomfortable.
were referencing the other
Yeah.
side just a few minutes before.
Just didn't use the exact term.
All right. See you later.
Hey, make sure you tell somebody else about this. What just happened here?
Yeah.
Yeah, subscribe.
See if they can find it in 2 days. That'll be like a treasure hunt. Thanks for watching the Under the Hood Show.